So Daniel, welcome. We are hosting you today within the scope of Civic Engagement Program implemented by UNDP within the financial support of European Union, and our project is named The Role of Waste in Forest Fires. We are trying to do community-based awareness and develop some strategies. As you know, this is a really wide topic. We are hosting you today about the non-human polluters of the forests. As we know that you have some amazing work on how birds pollute forests also, so I think it will have an amazing contribution to this perspective. So the floor is yours. We are on to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess so you expect me to say something about my research
Yeah, sure.
focused on okay, so maybe just a few words about my research in general. About 15 years ago, I started doing research on waste management, waste regimes, doing mostly analysis of garbage itself, a kind of tradition of garbology. So if I understand correctly, you guys are more into biological sciences, ecology from kind of the natural scientific perspective, mostly, if I'm
Both of
correct.
them, actually, both of them. We have
Okay.
we have a side of doing like plastic and vegetation type and how the wildfire risk is happening in there, and
Okay.
one
Okay.
side
Oh, that's
at the
it. This is
governance
cool.
side. Yeah, yeah.
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 I just want to explain that I mean, I studied natural sciences very originally
Yeah.
at the beginning of my career, but during, my half of my career is mostly kind of softer social sciences, humanities kind of approach. So I did kind of archaeological research and ethnography. And because I was working with people, waste pickers, landfill workers, people who were dealing with waste, also, I started exploring the surroundings of landfills because I was interested in the kind of where these dump sites and landfills are placed, why they are in places where they are. And when I started exploring, you can find different things. Sometimes you see litter which was brought by humans, because I'm not so sure about Turkey, about like all the details, but I assume there will be similarities in terms, if you want to dump your waste somewhere, you usually have to pay something, some kind of fee that
Yeah.
or you have to pay somebody to put it, to transport it there. If you don't want to pay and you are kind of informal, illegal, sometimes just people dump it close to these dumps. So not inside, but kind of
Yeah.
outside. So you have these kind of places and kind of accumulations of litter brought by humans. But then I found some like kind of weird places where there were a lot of especially plastic cups from milk products like yogurts, kind of soft butter kind of things. Also, cans from soft drinks or beer, but they were not concentrated as a kind of like litter that would like somebody brought like a bag and put it there, but they were like dispersed on the first floor. And it looked kind of weird, and I started paying attention to that a little bit more. So after a few days of kind of exploring what's going on, I realized that there were ravens, and the ravens were actually bringing food scraps from the landfill, which was nearby, about like a few hundred meters away. They usually, so there was like a pattern. So there was like one or two individuals, the ravens, they waited for an opportunity when the kind of the bus, like the work at the landfill was not so intense. There was a break for, the guys left for lunch or something. It was kind of calm. So there was like one or two individuals like flying there and like, kind of, oh, what can be? And when they realized that there are some resources for them. They came back to the woods, kind of informed their peers, and then there was like a larger group or a flock of ravens coming to the landfill. But they, interestingly enough, they don't stay at the landfill itself. You have like other birds who are kind of more tied to the landfills. They can consume stuff there. But the strategy of ravens was actually to grab something, fly to the woods. Then they were on they kind of landed on the treetops. They started consuming the stuff. Then they dropped, usually some kind of container like this plastic cup to the ground. Then they got to the ground. They, tried to get inside these cups. And I have some, because it was difficult to study them.
Yeah.
Ravens, especially these ravens, they're quite shy. So it's very hard to approach them. You have to keep distance. And so I started using camera traps. So I was able to record what they were doing, their kind of behavior, what kind of things they were bringing. And I realized that basically what these ravens did, that they brought resources to the woods for other species, and they were kind of building new ecology. Well, not necessarily new ecologies, but they were kind of building their, kind of relationships, because there were boars, the wild pigs, there were foxes, there were like feral cats, there were deer, mouflon, there were other birds coming to these kind of hotspots created by ravens, and they kind of continued and finish the food that the ravens did not finish. So there was like this entire, and also in addition to that, they also because you can imagine that these are like places which are quite lively from ecological perspective. So it also attracted humans, but not like usual humans, but hunters, because hunters. So like in Czechia, it's actually this is really crazy. Sometimes you have a landfill, you have a fence, and they have like these hunting seats, and the hunting seats are actually not directed like outside, but towards the landfill. So it's like, or they have the hunting seats which are situated like really around the fences, and basically they wait for deer or boars who come because landfills are full of resources, and hunters can. So this is this kind of, sorry, it was too long.
No, it's completely okay. Yeah, it's really interesting because it means that this kind of waste accumulation also changes the behavior of the animals related to human behavior also. Like I think what you said is really important. It's creating a new ecology in terms of both human behavior and the animal behavior also.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, there are multiple kind of things we can elaborate on. So one of them would be, for example, the perception of waste. I think $5 million question is like what waste is, like different, because waste is always, seen from a perspective of somebody, some kind of creature, and something that is waste for me is not necessarily waste for somebody else or other species, right? So like when people, for example, in Czechia right now, we have a project on food waste, and the entire imagination is always tied to that food waste is something like that humans reject, and like it's kind of useless, we dispose it somewhere, it's like this kind of extra stuff that we don't know what to do with that. But when you think about this story that I just described, you realize that it's food waste for us, but like from the perspectives of all the animals that were taking advantage of these food scraps, for them it was definitely not waste. These were like resources that they could take advantage of. So I think that, for example, for me, it was an interesting way how to think about waste and not being immersed just in the world of humans and their imagination. And because there are some theories about, for example, Josh Reno in the waste studies, he has this wonderful paper in 2014 about thinking about waste as a sign of life from a biosemiotic perspective. So
Yeah.
waste is not necessarily a category created by humans and associated with some kind of meaning, but it can be also recognized by other species. So it was like an attempt to go beyond the human. So I think this story was also about kind of extending our sensitivity that it's waste, then it becomes something else, and it's not just about humans, but there are all other critters and creatures around that somehow are that we are here together, right? Not alone. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, please continue. Yeah. I was gonna ask something, but yeah, I will ask later on. Yeah.
Um, well, then one like another potential thing from, for example, from a maybe more biological perspective, um, some people may ask like, so is it really good for these, for example, birds that they consume? Is it healthy? What's the um, that can be tricky because we know that from different parts, for example, from India, there are studies of the birds who started the birds of these what was the um, what's the English word? The kind of scavengers, um, big ones. Damn it, I forgot the English word. Sorry.
It's
So
okay.
basically, they were consuming some meat which was from the animals that were fed with some kind of hormones, and there was
Yeah.
like they developed some kind of resistance mm, to antibiotics. There was like basically the scavenging birds were dying because they were like consuming stuff from the landfill. So you have people who are experts on, for example, microplastic. You can imagine that during, consumption of something from the containers which were broken or something, that it's possible that, for example, birds can consume also the pieces of plastic or other
Sure.
materials. So definitely I have to say that I don't have data on this, but when some people ask me, for example, during conferences before, so oh, this is not definitely, you describe a story which is like this story of like new ecologies and everything is so nice and perfect collaboration between different species, but maybe they are dying. Well, I have some evidence of like the population growth because ravens were actually extinct in our country
Oh,
by the
really?
end of 19th century. Yes, they were not here. They were extinct in Central Europe. They were still in Germany to the west. There was a small population to the east in Slovakia because it used to be here Czechoslovakia before, right? We are
Yeah.
just Czech Republic right now. But in Czechia, really they were extinct. The last was like basically the end of 19th century, and then they came back in like 1968. So there was like really half a century without ravens, and like we don't have any record. But then because of the resources at the dump sites and landfills, it seems like it was helpful. And from my observation over the years, they're definitely not declining. So they are doing well, and the population size is rather increasing. So I guess this is kind of indirect evidence that they consume food scraps
Yeah.
doesn't, like kill them or reduce the population size. It seems like rather they are doing quite well.
Do you have any experience or maybe information on what's been happening in the forests of Ukraine right now? I'm sure you saw this fiber optic cables and the birds making nests out of them. Do you have like
Yes.
maybe like a future projection? Do you have any commentary on that? Is that like a similar behavior what Raven's doing, or like in terms of nest making? Can be
Mhm,
something
mhm.
positive for them or maybe something hazardous. What do you think about that?
Mm,
Mm.
okay, so I've noticed these studies of like the nest making from
Mhm.
various kinds of plastic or some kind of
Mhm.
waste that was left somewhere from different parts of the world. So I guess that this is something that we can find pretty much like the more waste we have in nature, like in nature,
Mhm.
the more we can expect that different kinds of species take advantage of them for building their, whatever
Mhm.
they need. Um, I don't have any direct experience from Ukraine, but we have some colleagues who work in Ukraine, but not on this topic. They are rather working with humans than. So, I mean, I could just speculate. I don't have any. You probably have more
No,
information than me.
I don't think so.
But just an observation on.
Yeah.
So, are how common are ravens um,
In the study
in
they
your
I mean, well, they are not on the red list in Turkey, as far as I know.
Ah,
So,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
but I mean, as you can imagine, in urban areas, you see them
Yeah,
very rarely, but in forest areas and
yeah.
wild areas, we have them in here, basically. Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. So that's something I would
yeah.
expect. Because like corvids in general, there's a lot of cognitive research and I'm
Mhm.
sure that that's something you maybe you are maybe even know more about this than me. Uh, but I have like what I really have to agree with the like for example the cognitive research that they are extremely smart. I was absolutely amazed that they were like almost always able to outsmart me. Um, Supervision, they communicate. Every time I was entering the woods, they knew I was there. Um, it was, and they were kind of hiding. They were like playing games, like even with the camera traps. They were like suspicious from the beginning, and
But they
yeah,
understood that was something different and something to observe them.
yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. I mean, this is okay. So I'm not an ethologist or like specialist of animal behavior. So take it as a kind of statement from somebody who rather studies humans than ravens. But I was really amazed how how really they like when they wanted to hide, when they wanted to disappear or move something somewhere, they always accomplish it somehow, and it was very difficult like to trace them. Especially if you compare it to other species of birds, like we had, for example, kites or hawks, um, and yeah, the ravens were definitely like super sensitive and yeah, I would say really smart.
It's a little bit scary, no, for them to be this much smart and
Uh,
little bit.
so I don't know what's your perception in Turkey, but like in our because like there are different countries. If you
Mhm,
go to, for example, Northern Europe, there's a lot of like this kind of Viking
mhm.
mythology of like the smart and like ride the god with the raven, and that like we have something even in New Testament, I believe that there is about like ravens, bringing something to the saints and like helping. But like in our context, I would say that ravens are very frequently associated with like kind of evil, they're kind of devilish creatures
Mhm.
that take advantage of like the weak, like for example, what they our the people who have cows, pastoralists of cows, they always complain about the growing populations of ravens because the ravens attack the babies, and they sometimes they can really hurt them, and they usually focus on eyes, for example. So I mean, like if you consider it like you have a creature that like waits, is very smart, knows when to
Yeah.
attack, and then targets, like the weak newborn baby calf, pecking out the eyes, for example.
Yeah.
And there's actually, I think, research in biology. This is not like fairy tales. This is something that they are like really they are not just scavengers, but they can kill the living creatures. So like they don't really have a very good kind of name, although
Image.
yeah, not good image, but it's kind of ambiguous because at the same time also we have a fairy tale which is about the seven brothers which were cursed and they turned into ravens, which was like, oh, you behave badly, so you become ravens. So it's bad. But at the same time, in the story, in the fairy tale, they started helping a young girl, their sister, or actually she tried to, she basically she needed to achieve the transformation, so they would turn back from the ravens to humans again. But they were like helping her. So there is also this kind of ambiguity that there are like these kind of little devils that can hurt, but at the same time they are smart and they can like help. So it's kind of
Yeah.
there's ambiguity about their
I think we have the same image of ravens, but we also have the same like ambiguous image with the
Okay.
owls in Turkey. Like in some regions, they are like a sign of bad luck.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, you have the same, right? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So it can be also.
So I wanna ask a further question about ravens again, or
Uh-huh.
maybe other birds that you observe, and their relationship maybe with fires. When the I mean
Mhm.
we some there are some examples from literature that they carry the fires, like burning branches to other places.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Um, okay, so like when Patrick O'Hare contacted me with you and
yeah,
like it was about the forest fires,
yeah.
um, my immediate association was not tied to ravens. So I
Mm-hmm,
don't have any example or any evidence
mm-hmm,
that I would observe or I would
mm-hmm,
even know about like the birds would be somehow associated with the spread of fires or
mm-hmm.
responsibility for that. But my experience related to the fires and waste was rather the activities of humans.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, perfect.
is especially um, kind of informal collectors of electronic waste.
Mm-hmm,
You have the copper cables and cords, like the electric
mm-hmm.
cords. You would like. I'm pretty sure that you have also scrap metal
Yeah,
collectors.
yeah, we do.
Actually,
Yeah.
one of where I have a friend and he did research in Istanbul actually on the like
Really?
the waste, yes, waste pickers. He used to be at the Cambridge University actually,
Mhm,
and so anyway, so these guys, what they do, like they take kind of potentially useful remains of electronic devices. They go to the woods, and then in the woods
Really
they
sorry
actually.
to interrupt. Sedat is asking, is she Lara Sharlak? Sharlak? The person you've been talking about in Istanbul who were doing the research.
No, 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 no.
Okay,
His name
someone
is
else.
Kevin.
Okay,
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah.
His
It
name
was
is
it was
Kevin.
it was a man. Um,
Okay. Okay.
and anyway, so what they do that they burn these, like they need to remove the plastic cover from the
Mhm,
copper parts, copper cords and cables, and they do it in the woods because they they want to be hidden,
mhm,
and because it's not legal to do it, but they do it. It's their way of life.
mhm,
And so this is something that's, especially if you do it during summer, you can imagine that
mhm.
it can be quite dangerous. So the only thing I can say about the relationship between kind of fires or forest fires is related to activities of humans who informally collect something from the dump sites or landfills, and then during the processing, disassembling of these things, they use fire, and the fire can be dangerous for nature, of course.
Do you have examples, some fires started out of this type of activities? There are some proven uh, incidents that there was a site, people were burning copper cables to get copper, and it turned out to be a big, not so big maybe, but it turned into a fire that had to be controlled. Yeah. Do you have examples of that?
I like during so I spent 3 years working with the waste pickers, collecting stuff and kind of trying to do what we call participant observation to really learn about their life. During that period, there was never like the fire that would, but the foresters were always concerned, and the police that caught them a few times, they was like, oh, like you would cause fires, but I would never personally witness that. I think that there were some fires that happened, but it would be rather, I think, in the record of our police. That would be the people who would know a little bit more about it. But I'm actually not aware of for example, like the scientific literature or any kind of scholarly literature that would be related to this.
I mean, during this project, we are realizing that the relationship between the waste, especially plastic waste in forest, and how they can contribute to maybe not initiation of the wildfire, but maybe the magnitude of it, the pace of it, etc. There are no clear studies right now, because I think it is like a really contemporary problem, this accumulation of waste in forest areas. And it shouldn't be that contemporary, but after a certain point, we started to not ignore probably. Okay, these are there now, and no one's collecting them as in terms of Turkey, in the context of Turkey, there is no like action to big actions or governmental or NGO or like district level action to collect and clean the forest surface itself. We are, I mean, speculating at this point
Yeah,
that
sure.
these can be a factor of having mega fires in the future, especially in the Mediterranean region with the effect of climate change and etc. Well, I have one more question about this waste picking. Is that uh, I think it is country specific, but I assume there are some similar reasons to um, conduct this waste picking behavior. So, is that lack of regulation, or is that maybe some socioeconomical problems? So, what is uh, for your observation, according to your observation, is that lifestyle sustainable, or what can be done to provide maybe more sustainable way of living for the waste pickers themselves?
Oh, that's
It's
a
a big
really
question. Big question.
that's a really I last year I created a policy paper for our government and Ministry of
Mhm,
Environment to kind of to tell them that they should pay a little bit more attention to also human, because like in our country, I don't know what's the situation in Turkey, but like here, it's like any kind of waste related topic is like heavily immersed in engineering.
mhm.
It's the problem of energy,
Same.
it's the problem of technology, it's the problem of actually burning, but like joules, what kind of
Mhm,
energy is released. It's always some kind of like the technical, like it's like the technical perspective that governs and like drives the whole discourse.
mhm,
They are not really interested in any like kind of, oh, there are people,
mhm.
there is something like kind of, there is social stratification.
Yeah.
Some people deal with this because they are poor or something like that. So anyway, And I try to basically I try to describe that something like waste picking, kind of unofficial, informal. So we have like here, for example, we have the companies. There are the companies, it's commercial, there's money, they collect, it's organized, the state, the state, the companies, everything. But then you have like these kind of informal actors. I assume that's
The same case.
I read something about Turkey, so I assume that we have some common background, and I think that these people will be around always because like here there are some people. It's also not always, but like heavily influenced, but kind of racial stereotypes. So we have, for example, the Romani communities that some of them engage with like waste picking. There's a tradition of like, like the families being scrap collectors for generations. So there is like really, it's not coming out of blue. There's a huge, there's a really huge history of doing this. So I don't think like we can like say like, oh, let's change it. Don't do it. Because for some of those people that I know, for them, it's really their major income for the families. And if you have like 5 kids at home and somebody tells you, oh, hey man, don't do
Yeah.
it, you have like difficult way to find a job, what are you gonna do? Well, of course you will go and you will try. You don't care so much whether it's legal or not, but you try to provide basic resources for your family, right? Because this is what like the parents do. So this was something I try to. My advice for example, our ministry was actually, instead of criminalizing and putting these people into the prison, let's take advantage of their expertise, let them do something, but rather in a, let's say, more controlled environment. So I was actually suggesting that if they had the kind of devices for peeling the cables that would be available, maybe for some kind of fee, or there would be place where they could go, maybe it would decrease the pressure to burn.
Yeah.
So I think like if you have other opportunities to get rid of the plastic and somehow do your work, so maybe it might decrease the kind of burning in the woods. But I was actually not very successful in this suggestion because like we had different stakeholders during the seminar, and they're like people from police, and they're like basically saying, oh, now forget about it, forget, like we need to imprison them, we need to like let's take the people in the prison, like these are
Yeah.
criminals, let's get rid of them.
Yeah.
So that was their basically perspective. So it's kind of difficult.
I think a similar approach has been applied here in Ankara. I live in Ankara, the capital city
Mhm.
of Turkey right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was like 3 years ago, the new mayor uh, tried to implement this, giving housing and money like to
Mhm.
paper pickers,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and then collecting the papers
Yeah.
and doing this recycling process afterwards. But the system collapsed really fast
Mhm.
because the paper collectors were making so much more money by themselves than the municipality paid them. So
Mhm.
also they are kind of like working their own time, maybe at night, maybe during the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
They were organizing their own time, but with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
under the municipality, that was like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. So it collapsed really fast. And
Mm.
yeah, so that says that was kind of a showcase. Yeah, that is also an element of it, but it's
Mm.
completely a
Mm.
failed showcase example. So yeah, we have the same problems, but no one is taking a real action, if I may say,
Yeah.
to overcome that.
I mean, like in general, I'm still maybe I understand. I'm an anthropologist, so maybe like some of my ideas might be a little bit naive, like that's what they say, like, oh, you have to be harsh on these people. But still, I think,
No.
like in general, in human society, I would like to think that it's better to negotiate and try to solve problems than
Mhm.
punish. I think that that's really
Mhm.
the last possibility when nothing else works. And I mean, I know, several of these waste pickers, and they are not internally evil people. They just want to
Sure.
live,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And but nobody really cares. They just they
I
it's like
have a technical question. Like, so after burning the outside
uh
of like fire,
Mhm.
they use the copper. What do they do with the copper? They sell it to like recycle firms or technology firms. Where does that copper go after this process?
So there are like local, um, the English word would be probably scrapyard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a place where you can bring, like when I have something at home, I have like old, I don't know, um, washing machine, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like
Mm-hmm.
an iron frame or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can bring it there and I will get money for like the kilogram of,
Mm-hmm.
iron or whatever. They go there and they
Mm-hmm.
sell it
Sell
for
it for
money.
money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is a little bit side question. In Czechia, you have this kind of places that you can go waste your like fridge, washing machine, that kind of big
Yes.
electronics, and then get paid. Yeah.
These are no, the system is actually more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Can you
want to, for
give
example,
can you give a little bit detail about that system?
yeah, so I think, well, this is like in general in EU because like there are some EU regulations and member states try to kind of implement them like over time. So we have something called, I believe it's called collective systems.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically the producers of electronics and electronic device, the companies, they have to use some of their profit to put it into these collective systems.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the collective systems create spaces like these yards, which are usually at the municipality level. So, for example, I live in a village, and in our village, we have this yard, and I can bring my old microwave there, or
Mm-hmm.
like anything. I can bring wood, I can bring even plastic, anything imaginable, anything other than mixed waste.
Mm-hmm.
I bring it there, and they take it for free actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's provided, and actually it's supported by the state through municipality, and it's also supported by the money from the companies that produce, for example, the electric devices. Then the guys sort it, and then there's like the system of like the company and another company.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to disassemble, take it apart, and try to recycle the parts that can be used again. Uh, but the place I was talking about that the guys have like the copper, this is a different kind of yard. This is
Okay.
this
Okay.
is
Yeah.
this is basically, you can imagine as a kind of scrapyard focused just on scrap metals. So
Mm-hmm.
they're interested only in like raw materials pretty much. So if you have, I mean, basically if you have a washing machine, what you can do, you can go to the kind of official yard in my village, for example,
Mm-hmm.
here. I will just drop it there. They will
Mm-hmm.
take it for free. Nobody pays anything. Like it's like that. Or maybe I can at home, if I want money, I take things apart myself. Select this is aluminum, this is
Mm-hmm.
copper, then I can go to the yard that collects
Sell it.
scrap metal, and they would give me some money. So the guys who need to earn money
Mm-hmm.
through collection of scrap metal, they kind of disassemble things on their own, and they turn it to these scrap yards and get money.
Mm-hmm. Um, even though it is completely different mechanisms, what made me realize after you told this is that if a municipality or state doesn't give a clear solution or like beneficial solution to people, people tend to, gain money rather than doing this in order and dumping there. What we have is in here that uh, which one I should give the example? Let me think for one moment. For example, the waste from infrastructures. To collect that, you have to call the municipality and you have to pay like a fee. It's
Okay.
not a big fee, but you have to pay them fee to take your infrastructure waste to take to the dumping site. And then after that, whatever they can do, they're gonna. It's not recycling, I think. It's like, what do we call it? I forgot the English name.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
can be like reuse because
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can
think
landfilling.
find it.
so. I don't
Yeah,
think so. It's just,
landfilling. Yeah,
yeah.
landfilling.
Ah, okay,
Or-
okay, okay, okay.
okay.
And then we have an example that from a district saying that, okay, we have lots of waste of these isolation materials from fridge
Mhm.
or in type of electronics.
Okay, okay.
People call the district and ask them to collect this waste from them, and they say that we don't have facilities to collect those and process
Mhm.
those. So what people have to do is dump them to the nearest forest.
Yeah.
If there is not a regulated system, well-regulated system, maybe not just well-regulated, also like making you to want to use that system, then these type of
Mhm.
things eventually gonna happen. That's
Yeah.
really common point of two stories for me, from those two anecdotes that what you told. You
Mhm.
can go there and dump it in the
Yep.
yard, and it turns into something
Re Recycling.
recycling. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. In general, yeah.
But yeah, you don't get anything in return, but if you take it apart by yourself and sell the stuff,
Yeah.
uh, you make
So
money.
I think the main thing here, for example, is that these days many people just don't have time, and or
Yeah, that's
they
also.
feel the pressure.
Yeah.
And so like the older generation takes things apart. Oh, this can be useful, this can be useful, this can be
Yeah.
useful. I would say that the younger you get, the more you think like, yeah, well, whatever. There is this place that takes it, like
Mhm,
that's
mhm,
it. Um, but there is, um, I think um, there is always an opportunity for people to somehow modify these
mhm.
structures, to be creative.
Yeah.
Because like basically I describe like one way you take things apart, go to this scrapyard.
Mhm,
You don't care. You take it and you drop it in your yard in the village, for example. But then also then there are like workers who, for example, do reconstructions of buildings, whatever, and then they take some stuff.
mhm,
Sometimes there are also these kind of devices, and they dump it into the landfill. This is
mhm,
like the third way. And one would expect that, for example, in the countries like Czechia, you wouldn't find any electronic or electric device in the landfill. Because, like,
mhm,
why would you do that? Because you
mhm,
have these scrapyards, you get money, you can take it to the yard, it's for free, it's by
mhm,
municipal. But then still, if you go to the landfill, you would be surprised how much stuff you find there. And
mhm,
actually, I have to say something I haven't mentioned, that it's not just we just talk about like the people, like consumers,
mhm.
individuals, households, but this is also there is a rarely discussion about the industry,
Yeah.
about the companies. It's always like, oh, blame the consumer. People are bad. People
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
People don't do. But what I find, for example, at Czech landfills, that this is not so much the individuals, but the companies that dump stuff there.
Mhm,
So part of the story should be also the recognition. It's not just the consumers. it's the companies that are responsible for some of
Mhm,
the.
mhm,
They always say, "Oh, we don't. No, no, no. We are companies. We need to, earn money. Like we are like economically minded. Like we are very disciplined. We wouldn't do anything that would be wasteful."
mhm.
I don't buy it. I
Yeah.
see ends up at landfills, and the companies are not always the good guys.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. Obviously, yeah. Can I go back to ravens for a little bit? Because
Yeah,
I
sure.
have a question in my mind.
Mhm.
So in Australia, in America, people are using these prescribed fires, or like
Mhm.
local people are using the fire itself to control the area, maybe to prevent bigger wildfires, maybe to
Yeah, I saw
induce
it in Florida.
productivity, yeah, induce the productivity of the system,
Mhm.
etc.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Could like ravens and corvids can learn that behavior from humans? Do you think that is part of their intelligence? Maybe. Yeah, no.
I don't know. I mean, like honestly, I don't know because
Mhm.
frankly, I don't know what's their perception of fire,
Yeah.
of like the heat, how close they are willing to go, like what they. I
Mhm.
mean, for me. I've never experienced, or I've never, even the videos that I've seen, or like things I read.
Mhm.
I can just speculate, but I
Okay.
yeah,
You're
it seems
you're
to me like too sci-fi that
Mhm.
there might be somehow associated with that.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. That was something I wanted to clear up. Uh, yeah, here in this case, what well, to sum up our problem, like similar problems and maybe some local context problems in here, we have lack of regulation here in terms of waste itself.
Mhm.
As what you defined as, like, we have landfills to dump the electronics, like we don't have those kind of systems.
Okay.
And then since plastic is kind of a not valuable, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it can be recycled and
Mhm.
everything. The only attraction that we can maybe get is for plastic waste, maybe. But at the end of the day, what we find in forest is pretty much everything. You can find almost anything in forest floor. Maybe like car tires. That is one of the
Yeah,
big,
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
car
Also
tires,
here.
and like old furnitures. Even in one
Yeah.
case, we have photos from like this mannequins from stores, like plastic mannequins from, so like many of them, like hundreds of mannequins. This kind
Wow.
of grotesque picture also,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe some like beds, this mattresses.
Yeah, okay.
And
Yes.
also there is the side of like this from recreational areas, what you also mentioned, that like beer bottles, like food waste, maybe plastic bags and everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Glass, obviously, from bottles. So this is our current situation, that we have everything in the forests, mostly in the locations of that are near to urban areas, because it is also effort to go to like really deep in the forest
Yeah,
to
yeah.
dump.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Mhm.
there's this like
Zone.
intersection
Mhm.
that you have waste accumulation between deep forest and urban area. So yeah, problem is big, and we kind of don't know how to deal with it, because the system also has some loopholes. For example, the General Directorate of Forestry, in their laws, they can fine people who dumps
Ah,
things in
okay.
forest. That is good, but it's not mentioned it's not mentioned that who is gonna collect them afterwards. Yes, the dumping is done, the fine is done, but who's gonna collect it? That is also some kind of a uncovered area. So these are the problems we are dealing with. Yeah, Sedat, welcome. Do you have questions? Oh, cat.
No, not
Um,
yet, but
Okay.
very interesting information
Yeah.
Daniel provide,
Mhm.
specifically those about the ravens, because
Mhm.
in my way to my office from my home, there is a walking line, so like it's kind of isolated area between
uh-huh.
the train railway
Yeah.
and the historical place.
Okay.
So I oftenly use that direction when I go to office. There are hundreds of no, it's kind of raven, not like a
Crow?
raven in
Maybe
Europe.
crow?
So yeah, crown, yeah. But they are so clever, and
Yes.
like I can observe them in some specific time of day. So they are using some kind of plastics as a tool
Yeah.
to open, muscle. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
bringing
Yeah.
muscle from the because I'm very close to seaside in
Yeah.
Istanbul, so they are bringing muscle and then dropping
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
from air and
I'm
then
not
using that
surprised. Yeah.
that sticks and then trying to open. It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so like it's amazing. So
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 Definitely. I mean, like one of the things, like I mean, like I always say, like I'm biased. I really love these creatures. So take it into account. But like, for example, they just don't take food. But sometimes I found, like when I explored like all the kind of artifacts I found in the forest, some of them were not related to like eating or some kind of food, but they were like interesting objects, like interesting shapes. Sometimes like the pet animals, or like they were like, so there is like definitely a sign of curiosity. They're like, they're just not taking things because they want to eat. They
Yeah.
are taking things because they want to explore. They are
Yeah.
curious. Yeah. So
That's
yeah.
okay. Do they use those kind of objects in their nests also, like in the case of Ukraine? Do you have
Um,
that kind of observation, or this is just specifically for
I found
food and
like,
resources?
okay, so they are very, very careful to build nests in places that would be visible.
Mm-hmm.
They are really, they do everything, because like I forgot to mention, at the end of 19th century they were extinct because people tried to poison them, or successfully. So they were like these poisoned pieces of meat, and sometimes they were climbing, put it into the nest and stuff like that. So I don't know whether there is some kind of memory of that or whatever, but they always try to hide where the nest is, and it's always hidden. It's difficult. So far I found only like two nests, and they used, actually surprising, none of the plastic material or something that I was talking about was there. There
Mm-hmm.
were only, there was like a fur, so it was like definitely organic biological material
Mm-hmm.
from like the hair, something like that, but not artificial, not plastic or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very
That's
limited
good. That's good.
experience.
At least, at least.
Yeah.
yeah,
So we have
maybe
like we have bio ravens here.
yeah, maybe
Bye.
they could be the only bird species which are not using plastic material as a nesting material, because
Yeah.
whenever I saw an abundant nest
Mm.
full
Mm.
of plastic, it's not
Yeah.
only like a plastic particle, like a thread, textile material, because textile
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
plastics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
surprising that the raven they're so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But but like my sample size of the nests that I I explored is very small. So I would not generalize based on that.
I it's been a really long time I read that paper. It was in my master's, I think. There was something called hipster effect, I think. When you wring the legs of the birds, male birds, it's also it adds an attraction level for the female bird. So they have something colorful in their legs, so they
Ah,
attract
okay. Okay.
females more. Maybe that I was always thinking with this plastics in the nest itself. So
Okay.
nest construction is also some way of attracting females in some
Mm.
species. Not really, no. Sedat?
You're so
No?
optimistic, you know, like
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
you're so, you know, like I don't
Maybe it's
know,
a way of like
maybe in some
increasing their
cases,
chances.
yeah, maybe in some cases, but you know, as I know from some of the nests that I, you know, saw and you know investigated, there were more plastic than natural materials. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's specifically the birds living close to the city centers, like in like this. What was the name? Leylek.
Storks.
Yeah, storks.
Oh,
Yeah,
storks.
storks.
Oh, okay.
Storks suffering from plastics. You know, I don't think that they want to be attractive by using this plastic
Okay.
material to their
Okay, it was
female.
just an idea. It was just an idea.
Maybe,
Other-
yeah, but you know, thanks for giving this idea because it's just deserved to be investigated because you know they only you know like counted plastics. I mean, they quantified plus number of plastics in the nest. They haven't made any connection or you
With
know
the
like
number of
correlation between you know like behavior and
Yeah,
also this.
definitely.
Yeah,
Guys,
this is a good
I think
idea.
like, no, it's actually a perfect idea.
maybe this
Because-
can be our like collaborative new next project.
Yeah. Well, who knows? No, but I think so. Okay, so I collaborated with ornithologists because, of course, I needed somebody who knows something about the birds, right? Definitely more than me. And so I remember from the discussions and collaboration that they were like also talking about like the corvids, about the dominant pairs, and the kind of hierarchies between the you know like the main couple and other individuals. So I think like when you Nurbahar brought the very topic of kind of let's say sexual relationships or kind of you know kind of reproductive behavior or whatever, I haven't seen anything about I don't recall anything about like the waste and the relationship to that. Seems to me like a promising topic to
Okay,
explore.
good.
Definitely.
Another PhD.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay. Any questions? I think I'm out of questions. I mean, I have so many more questions. This is so interesting, but I think we are wasting your time with out of topic questions right now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think I'll have to go back because
Okay, sure.
my daughter is actually tomorrow. She has test exams to get to high school. So this is like
Good
you can
luck.
imagine like a big
Good luck.
big
Good
thing.
luck. Good luck.
So
Good luck for her. Okay,
we
thank you
have
so
like the
much.
last few hours of preparation and
Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really sure that we are gonna find ways to collaborate in the future, maybe near
Yeah.
future.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm stopping the record right now to say goodbye.